or welcome back. Today I'm coming to you with an Orilium TBR. Orilium is a readathon which lasts a month in April and a month in either August or September, sometime around that time of year. There are fill-in bits that go in between. G at the book race hosts all these things, and she has a magical everything. But this is a magical readathon, and it is a magic school in which we take classes in order to hopefully fulfill a career eventually. Apparently, if you stuck to one path for the whole time this year, you'd be graduating. So I'm excited to see what happens next year, but I will not be graduating this year. I am indecisive as an indecisive thing. So in April I tried to do all the classes because that's like 14 books, although I think there's something about dragon riding this year which I might need to take as an extra class. I don't know. I've just got the 14 basic books just for you for April, and then in the autumn term then there is or semester, then each class, or depending on which career you're going for, you need slightly more complicated things. So this is my 4th year of taking part. It's the 4th year of running, and I'm super excited. So I'm just gonna get in there and tell you about my books and a little bit about it. So the first book I have is for alchemy class. The prompt is titled in all caps, and I have Legend Born by Tracy Dion, which is a magical, possibly African, I'm not quite sure, gender flipped King Arthur retelling, which is, you've probably heard of it before, but yeah, I mean that's what I know about it. The second is animal studies, and we're studying raccoons, stealing from a TBR, and I will be reading Water Moon by Samantha Soto Yambao. This is because because I've stolen it from someone else's TBR, but also you can divide yourself into teams. It's not entirely team based, but there's a lot of support and social stuff that goes along those sides. So our team book club, archivists, and our team book club is Water Moon by Samantha Soto Yambao. I think it takes place in a ramen shop, or maybe it's a ramen shop where you can discover your destiny. I don't know. It's got origami boats on the front, and that's about all I've got. I haven't got my hands on this one yet, so I haven't decided whether I'm going to read it ebook or physical, and I'm probably going to put off deciding until partway through the month to see how I'm doing in terms of physical versus ebook reading. The next book is Art of Illusion, book already planned, and I have my lovely April book. I have no idea what it is. It is a fairly slim paperback. I'm guessing it's fantasy. I don't think it's Emily Wilde. So the only book I know is in the calendar is the second Emily Wilde book, and I don't think this is thick enough for that. It could be crime. It kind of feels like crime. There's not that much sci-fi or crime on my physical TBR shelf, so it could be one of those that's gone in. Okay. For those of you who don't know about this, I got my partner to wrap up 12 books from my physical TBR shelf to be like a surprise advent calendar, not advent calendar, but you know, a surprise calendar of books through the year. So he's got one per month, and he went super extra with it. He analysed my reading patterns, worked out what genres and what types of books I like to read when, and made the books appropriate for the season. So it's not going to be a polar fantasy. It's probably not romance, because I tend to read those in winter. My guess is it's either fantasy or crime, but I don't know. The next is astronomy. Pick a colour wheel. My colour was yellow, and I have Unmaking Mary by China MacDonald. This is theology about being a mother and about Mary, and I don't really know much about it, but China MacDonald wrote God is Not a White Man, which sounds like it could be super obvious, like of course God isn't a white man, but actually it was super nuanced and interesting about intersectionality and how to do better as Christians. And yeah, I'm very excited for this. Conjuration, random country. You're allowed to roll up to 5 times, and I kind of did, but actually I didn't really look at the other countries. I just picked my first country, Eswatini, and I've got A Beautiful Place to Die by Mala Nun, which is an Eswatini based murder mystery. Demonology, a book with a missing person. I've got As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson, which you might notice was also on my March TBR, but I've decided to push it off for April because I think it'll be a great fit for that. And in this book, our protagonists from the earlier, what's the series called? Good Girl's Guide to Murder, goes missing, and Pippin goes missing, and I'm not sure whether it's told from Pip's perspective or whether it's told from the perspective of her loved ones trying to get her back. But look, I really like this as a general ordinary hardback, and yeah, it's the 3rd in a trilogy, and Holly Jackson says it's her favourite, so I've got high hopes. Elemental Studies, fruit on the cover. I've got Southern Myths by Amy Boyles. This is the 3rd in Southern sweet tea mysteries, which are sort of cozy fantasy romance crossovers about a woman whose life is going to nowhere fast, and then she suddenly discovers that she is a witch when she is left a magical pet shop in her aunt's will, and she suddenly finds she's got this ready-made family who are all really ready to accept her, and then she falls in love and it's all very sweet. And I gather there's a dragon in this book, which, so I might end up switching these books around, but they're cute and they're funny and they're sweet and they're fast reads, and everyone drinks a lot of sweet tea. Spells and Incantations, word from the last book title. Now for this, G said use it from the book you're reading when you watch the video. So the book I was reading was Space Oddity by Catherine Mbulante. So I picked up Nigerians in Space by Deji Bryce Olakurton, which is about a lunar geologist in NASA who is Nigerian and living the American dream, apparently. So he gets to go back to Nigeria, start a new space program, but he has to steal some moon. So I think it's lit fic, but it could be sci-fi. It's kind of in that crossover. It's been on a ton of best African books or best sci-fis or best literary mysteries, or like it's been a ton of everyone seems to want a piece of this book. I don't really have a good grasp of what's going on in this book, except that everyone seems to want to claim it, so I think that's a good sign. Artificery, title length of time when I saw the video. So I saw the video at like 11:30, so I'm looking for a book with 11 words in the title, or more likely A Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds. And in this, Will's brother has just been murdered, and Will is taking a lift downstairs from his apartment with a gun in his pocket to get his revenge. And the whole book takes place in the lift. So I'm expecting it to be super sad. I'm expecting it to be super unusual, unlike anything else I've ever read. I'm expecting to be angry. I'm expecting to have all the feelings in the course of this lift ride. And I have no idea how many people are going to end up dead. None. Inscription. Read first sentence of 3 books and pick one. And I have my 3 books here. I've got On Civil Disobedience by Henry David Thoreau and Hannah Arendt. This is 2 essays bound together about civil disobedience. I've got The Holy Faith by Alice Peters. This is a medieval murder mystery set in a monastery. It's a monastery near where I grew up. And Cadfael are kind of gardener come apothecary come detective is a really lovely character. And then I've got The Darkening by Sonia Mara, which I'm guessing is about angels, and it might be in a city, and all I really know about it is that it's shiny, and I've had it on my shelf for long enough I forgot what's in it. So I'm going to go ahead and read, and I'll see which one I think I'm most tempted by. I'm not sure whether to read the first title of the book or the first title of the foreword. This says, Henry David Thoreau never used the formulation civil disobedience. That's not much of a first title, is it, for the introduction? Okay. So, from the Thoreau. I hardly accept the motto that government is best which governs least, and I should like to see it acted up to more rapidly and systematically. See, right now I'm arguing with that. I'm like, no, I'm not sure I believe you, because then people will fall through the cracks and it'll be the most vulnerable people who get left behind, and I'd love to hear your reasoning. Okay, so that's quite promising. Again, it's got a prologue. In the height of a hot summer in late August of 1144, Geoffrey de Mandeville, Earl of Essex, deferred to the heat of the sun and made the final fatal mistake of his long and opportunistic career. I'm going to go to chapter 1 as well. The messengers arrived during the half hour of chapter and would not eat, drink or rest, or wash the mud of the roads from their feet until they had made their way into the assembly in the chapter house and delivered their charge. See, I'm not, like, that feels like it could be any other Cadfael book, so between these two, I'm going with this one. The Darkening. If nightmares had music, they'd sound like the storm. Thunder like a racing heartbeat stinging. Oh, see, I've immediately started reading more of this because I've immediately been pulled in. So I'm going to go with The Darkening. A fierce revolutionary, a desperate prince. Together they will face the storm or be swept away. Okay, Lure, and this is for a musical term in the title. I've got Sing Me to Sleep. I also have another historical detective book called Quiet as a Nun, which I thought I might pick up instead, but I think I've got sirens, I've got mermaids. Saoirse Sorkova can sing any man to an early grave, but her very existence is illegal. So I've got magic that isn't meant to be. I've got a really pretty cover, and singing is definitely a musical term. Psionics and Divination, a book with witches or the occult. And I've got In the Company of Witches by Orilium Wallace, and this is a cozy fantasy mystery about someone who needs to clear her aunt's name, and it tends to be described as words like old-fashioned and charming and sweet. So it's set in a B&B. I'm expecting this to be quite a quick and quite a squishy, comforting read. Restoration, book with a 4-star rating or higher, and I've got Installment Immortality by Shauna Maguire. I don't actually have it yet. Amazon tells me it will be delivered on the 2nd of April, and this is the next in the Encrypted series by Shauna Maguire. I absolutely loved the last one. I've been reading all of them as they come out since the beginning, and I'm just finding they get more and more gripping. This is a family whose life is to do with protecting monsters from humans. And again, we've been hanging around dragons recently. So trying to protect the dragons, because everyone thought dragons were extinct, only they're not. And so, it's about this family learning how to be a family despite everyone not being the same species, and learning how to get on with the wider world. and the bad guys who are all human and think that only humans can be people and only people matter, and their friction between the two, and it's just a really, really great series, and I'm very excited for it. I've been so excited, I keep saying, and I'm very excited for it. I've got 14 books here, I'm very excited for them all, so that's good, that's a good sign. So my last book is Shapeshifting, and this has a dragon in the title, the cover, or the story. And a lot of my books in there have already had dragons in, but I have chosen When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. This is a book about the moon turns out to be a dragon egg, and then dragons come back, I think the moon hatches. Apparently it's a character-driven romantic fantasy. People describe it as being a bit like Fourth Wing, because of course they do, because it's spicy romance with dragons. And yeah, I don't really know much about it because apparently not much happens in the book. So I guess we'll find out how to have it. But there are dragons, they are hatched, they're raised. And I guess we see the interaction between dragons and humans. I don't know. I've also got Onyx Storm, which I'm hoping to actually read this month. But if I don't read it this month, then that's going to be pushed into April, and that will probably be in this slot. So as always, I've given you 14 books, but it is entirely possible that I will switch around exactly which book goes where, and I might not get to all 14 books. That's also a thing, and that will change up what I do later in the year when the next time the Orilium readathon comes through. So what about you? Have you read any of those? Would you like to read any of those? Are you joining in the readathon? Do you hate readathons? I don't know. I just quite like reading prompts, and I quite like watching TBR videos. So that's why I tend to do this, as you probably know by now. And so yeah, I will be back soon with my wrap up from the first quarter of the year, and whatever else I feel like telling you about. Okay, bye.